What's up, WWE Champions Universe? This is Lee from Champions Chat, and for the first time in a long time, I'm feuding with Rusty. This is some of the matches that I ended up doing last night during the feud, but what I really want to talk about is bigger than like this specific feud video. This one actually, by the way, like we took forever to get into a match. Like, look at this. What the heck was that? And then when we did get in a match, we went up against, I don't know, somebody. Ramsey. I'm going up against Ramsey. There you go. Ramsey is who I'm fighting. But anyway, the bigger conversation around this, though, is not just you watching me feud aimlessly. Actually, I have a big point to make on why I think this feud in particular, and specifically the evolution moment that this feud actually highlighted, shows what hype might be. So if you're not familiar, if you don't know, WWE Champions is not going to be doing 7 stars this month, next month, like they would normally do. You know, it's gone, 6 from 3-star to 4-star, 5 to 6, where it's been bronze, silver, gold, and then each year, it's progressed that way. I've talked in other videos about why this move would be the biggest one they've ever had to make, because in 7-star they would have to add 1 move to every single character in the game. Now there's precedent for that. They had to do it before with, I think, 5-star or 6-star, whichever it was, where they came in, where they had to add like a new move, like another move, because up to that point everybody had, all the moves in there that they needed to last until, let's just say it was 6-star. Well, with, I think it's 5 though. With 7-star, they would have to add another move in. And you're saying, well, they've done it before, why can't they do it again? They can. I'm sure they will at some point. But the biggest thing is, for those who track the coding side of this game, they knew that the 6-star moves have been in the game for since 4-star. They have had all the characters that have had moves. They've had those moves already kind of mapped out for those characters. They changed them obviously as they went, like for example adding combo moves in and things like that here and there. But for years they kind of already were ready for that. 7-star, as far as I know from the people who code these or go into the codes on these things, 7-star was not coded in yet, or those moves. Maybe we don't see them, maybe they're behind the scenes, whatever. So they did a dev blog that basically said, hey, we're not doing 7 stars yet. What we are going to do is a new system called hype. And this new hype system will kind of change aspects of the game, not the foundations of it that are so strong, because that's why this game has lasted for so long. Like the core of this game is so well done, but the layer outside the core, that's like the next layer out, we're gonna change things around. They're calling it hype, and what they've said, all that we know so far, is that basically there's going to be new things that impact like turn order. That's going to be a big one I'm going to get to in a moment, as well as like defense, offensive stuff, where you can take any character to some degree. At least there's still going to be things that build out off of what you've done, but you can kind of take any character and build them up and make them like your top character. Like, it doesn't have to be, okay, William Regal is clearly the most powerful character, or Hulk Hogan Powerhouse is clearly the most powerful character in the game, so they're the only ones that you want to build up, right? Instead, you're going to be able to build up characters that you want to use and make them more competitive. At least that's what it looks like. That's what it says on the surface, right? So here's my argument for that. So this is Rusty and I feuding. Hooray! Look at that. I can't take my Michelle McCool up past 6 bronze. Maybe I took her 6 silver at some point this weekend, but look at that. Yay, I won with Alexa. And then here, look, I won with my EO. By the way, this EO Sky. Okay, hold on, pause. I'll get back to my story in just a second here, what I think. But this is 6-star bronze, by the way. The health pool, 25 million because of the moment. 6-star bronze. Watch this damage. at a 6-star bronze. This is with the Tama plate. I need to give McDuck credit because he was wise to point out that I did not use the Tama plate on my previews of her, and at 6 bronze, she did 70 million damage. That is crazy. The lag, I think, is the connection to my phone. Also, Becky 2 Bites, always meta relevant, always amazing, does awesome. Just awesome, right? Okay, so not this one now. Let me sneak over instead to... That's Ex-Convicted. I like Ex-Convicted. That's not who I'm going for. This one. This is me versus Big Papa Brian right here. Me versus Big Papa Brian. So I want to point something out. Look at what happens to the health pool with the moment. His Naomi has 125 million health. My Asuka, right here, can hit for 100 million. Watch what happens, though. Watch what happens when I go up against Big Papa Brian with that moment in play. Boom, boom. Don't know why it's laggy. Boom, boom, boom. That's 104 million. Watch what happens. Watch what happens. He kicks out. And then he whoops me. He's about to whoop my butt. Watch. Big Papa Brian is showing with this setup right here what hype is going to do that changes how we play this game. Because before, hitting 130 million reduced down to 109 was a guaranteed instant victory. But instead, because of that moment, she has 100% more health, has more kick out, all of a sudden blinked off 110 million hit and just wiped my Asuka out entirely. So here's what I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about hype. This is the type of matchup that I think we're going to start expecting to see on a regular basis, where you have to go in a little more strategically. Like this type of gameplay, it would be wise to include a sub again. I know that's blasphemy for some people. Merrick's, I know, doesn't like subs. Flextodon hates subs. Like, I get it. But what we've had for the last couple years is just a pure get as much damage as you possibly can and win instantly gameplay, which has its place. It can be fun, you know, if you've got those characters and you're just like, haha, look at me flexing on everybody, right? But this makes you play differently. I had to go into each match and think who is in that evolution moment. Even my characters that are in the evolution moment. Like right here, I'm going up against his Rhea. I know for a fact that I can't do anything with that Rhea that increases... Oh, see, here I'm going to die. No, I did bring a down prop. Okay, so I'm good. So I'm going up against his Rhea. I can't do anything that buffs the move, the MP of a move, because she's going to reverse that, right? She has 170 million health, which means even my best hitters... I mean, I do have some that can do 170 million, but they're mostly the guys. Not gonna lie, like that's a Hogan hit. That's a, you know, Ilya plus the whatchamacallit, the Green Piper plate, or I mean, it would be Charlotte with the Green Piper plate as well. I can have, but most of my characters are no longer going to turn 1 these people, which means I'm thinking through how do I beat her turn 2. How do I beat her turn 3? And I know that has not been the norm for a while, but watch this. That's 100 million hit right here. And I think she eats this one. Yeah, she eats the pin on that one. So it was 100 million hit. She's a showboat. Showboats don't have as much kick out ability. She went down. But there was a very real possibility she didn't. Now, let's add into the mix turn order. Turn order makes things even more spicy, so to speak, right? Because now you're thinking, okay, if they have a character that's set up, like that Big Papa Brian's Naomi, if Big Papa Brian's Naomi got her turn first, I'm done. There's no way I'm going to shrug that off unless I'm using, you know, someone that's on that evolution moment as well. But, you know, imagine that's more of the characters, like most of the rosters, where you are going to be going up against people who they get the turn advantage, you have to be planning for surviving the first turn, and then you get your chance to unleash on them. And if you can't beat them turn 1, which I'm going to get to Tiffy here in just a moment. I think that's the video with Ex-Convicted, by the way. I want to jokingly say traitor. Come back to Toxic Mafia, traitor. Jokingly, kind of. But like, get to Tiffy, where, I mean, I wasn't joking when I said you almost can't beat her. You can't do damage to Tiffy time that is enough damage to get her down, because now she has 100% more health, and she, even with tier 6 Fury 3 medals in the mix, can barely take damage. So I had to go into the feud thinking, okay, if I'm fighting Tiffy time, also, what the heck happened right here where I don't have... They must have reduced my MP, which sucks. I think my mommy... Fighting, let's be honest, Big Papa Brian's a great player, and I'm pretty sure he just wipes the board with a few of my characters. But this, I mean, again, I'm showing this for a reason, because this is what I think Hype is going to bring back to the game, is a way to play in such that you are not just turn wanting everybody in feud. Like, you're actually having to strategically think through what you're doing next. Like right here, I am banking on the fact that Charlotte is not going to hit her move, or if she does, she's not going to hit it right. Guess what? She hit her move. She hit it right, although I don't think she hits... Yeah, she doesn't hit the next one right, which saved my butt, I think. I kicked out of this. So yeah, mommy wins right here, and that's great. But I'm having to think through turns. And in the long run, I think this is a much better way to play the game. For those who just want to come in and turn one everybody, there's still going to be characters that do that. You're going to find ways to make turn 1 just an absolute reality. I'm sure that that's the case, right? There's still going to be a reason to spend for S plus tier characters, because they're still going to be able to do far more, even than if you max out your B tier character that you want to give everything to. There's still going to be a reason why S plus tier characters are pricier, let's just say. But I think this highlights a way of playing that is different from what we've come to expect. Let's see, Jacqueline. Okay, here's my Tiffy time. This is my Tiffy time against Jacqueline. Watch this. I pinned her with I barely even hit her. That's not a lot right there, right? She couldn't get out. This is what we're moving to, is a more strategic play style, and I'm pretty sure... See, Bliss versus Bliss. I want that Becky so bad. I think I make the mistake of taking Io against Becky. Right? Is that a mistake? Maybe not. Maybe not. Let's watch this hit again. Look at her plus the Tama. It's just incredible. She's still 6 bronze right here. 6-star bronze. And she hit for 65 million reduced. It was normally 70. But look, Becky kicks out. And I get to hit her again, right? All right, so let's go with the video against Ex-Convicted right here. Traitor to Toxic Mafia. Love him, even though he's a traitor, right? But somewhere in here, I face... Oh, maybe this isn't the right one. No, Fat Twin. Actually, we did a lot better on prize. I did, but forgetting Io. So I go up against Ex-Convicted, but his lineup, I intentionally recorded with people that I knew I was going to have trouble against. His lineup gives me issues. So here's another one. That's actually why I put this in. Michelle McCool. So I went up against a number of Michelle McCools this weekend that had around 250 million health. People are starting to sacrifice harder hits for, like, you know, instead of 150% strap, 100% more health, because what's ending up happening is you're getting into situations like maybe this one isn't the one. It's not, but it still gave me the springboard to talk about it. Where, like, for example, I hit Michelle McCool, who had 250 million health, with 150 million with my Abby the Witch. 150 million turn one. Not only did she shrug it off, she used her move that refills her health and turned around and destroyed me. So, wow, was this ever a different feud? And a lot of it, well, Michelle McCool's not on the evolution moment. A lot of it was highlighted by that evolution moment. If you had that and I went up against you, I was thinking differently about how I was feuding. And that hasn't happened. I mean, yes, I complain every once in a while about forgetting someone has a reversal or forgetting someone has a turn advantage against this or if you use that, blah, blah, blah. But on this honest scale, I have not feuded in a way that I am actually having to think through each matchup in years in this. And while it did sap a little bit of speed away from me, it also was more fun. I enjoyed thinking through and honestly getting myself hurt in a few places. Like every once in a while, I'll make a dumb move and put the wrong person against the wrong person, and they'll win. But it's really, really rare. In this case, though, there were several matches where I went up against a Tiffy, a Rhea, a Becky. My goodness, I'm jealous of everybody who has the 6 gold Becky already. Or even Naomi's, right? Who I just had to play differently. So here's what I think about this to sum it up. Hype is coming. I think this feud weekend was a really good example of what hype will be for the rest of the game. I think we're going to see more where 100, 150 million, or whatever their equivalent becomes in another month or two, hits is not enough to put someone down. I think you're actually going to have to play a little more strategically, a little more defensively. I think subs are going to matter again. I think health straps and health medals are actually going to have a distinct strategic advantage in certain cases, like your Michelle McCool's or those who have, like, imagine that Naomi of Big Papa Brian's. What if I had gone up against her and she had 150 health strap or 100% health strap and all health medals? Like, I think that's going to matter again. So this is how, without knowing anything on the back end really, other than what they've shared publicly, this is how I am preparing my mind for how the game is going to change under this new hype system. And while it's going to take some getting used to, I honestly think it's a move for the better. Am I right? I don't know. Again, this was just a clue to the future. And I do think Scopely is good at leaving breadcrumbs. I think that when they're instituting things, they have a good track record of kind of giving a little bit of it here and a little bit of it there until all of a sudden the whole thing is there and you're like, oh yeah, that was there. So maybe I'm reading the tea leaves right, maybe I'm not. But honestly, if this is anywhere close to what hype is going to be, I think it's a good thing. I am going to use my roster in ways that I haven't. Like right there, look at that. His Naomi just shrugged. This is ex-convicted. His Naomi just shrugged off an 80 million hit with tons of protect gems on the board, or a 97 million hit, whatever it was. And boom, he just wipes the floor with me. There's no way that would have happened before this weekend, before the evolution moment. And now that is a reality. That's what I think we're going to see a lot more of, is needing to strategically counter offensive against your opponents in order to see victory. And I'm excited. I think it's a good move. I honestly do. It's going to take some change. It's going to take some time to get used to, but that's kind of it. So thank you to Rusty, who feuded with me on that first one. Thank you to Big Papa Brian and Ex-Convicted, and I apologize. The first name I said I wasn't familiar. I don't know that person, where I do know Ex-Convicted and know of Big Papa Brian from when he was a CC. So thank you guys for letting me feud against you. Not that you had a choice, but me using your video, me using video of me fighting against you as an example of what's coming. I think it provided a good insight to the community. So that's it for this one. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Like the video, subscribe to Champions Chat, and send this to your friend or faction mate who's curious what hype is going to be. This may or may not be exactly it, but I honestly think this is a good glimpse into the future. See you later, guys. Bye.